So, greetings of the day. My name is Dr. N. Purundar, Assistant Professor, Department of Artificial Intelligence, MITS Madanapalli. Today we are going to discuss about the list in the Python programming, and the flow of presentation will be like this: introduction to list, creating a list, list indexing, list slicing, list methods, and built-in functions that we can apply on lists. First, coming to introduction to list. Before starting actually the list data type in Python programming, uh, we need to know the basic data types available in Python. So the basic data types available in Python, starting from numeric data types, which will have again integer, complex, float data types, dictionary data type, Boolean data type, set data type, and finally sequence data type. The sequence data type again will contain strings, list, and tuple. So among these sequence data types, today my topic of discussion is on the lists. First, coming to introduction to list. So the lists are ordered collection of elements that maintain their sequence unless they are explicitly modified by the user. So it is an ordered collection. So meaning that we have indexes for every element that are there in the list, and this sequence will be maintained by the Python program until the user is modified that particular elements in that particular list. And the elements in the list are grouped using the square braces. We will use that square braces notation to represent the list of elements. And next point is lists are mutable, which is meaning that they are modifiable. That is that we can add the element, remove the element, or update the element in the list once it is created. And a list can store heterogeneous data types, meaning that it can store integer data type, string data type, float data type, or any other derived data type also. And here is the example how to create the list. So the first thing is, here we have a list of integers. So numbers is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a list. These elements are represented within the square braces. Now it is a list of integers. And here we have a empty list. So my list is equal to, included the square braces here, without any elements. So it says that it is an empty list. And another example is here, a list of strings. So fruits is equal to, I created the list with 3 fruit names like apple, banana, and cherry. Here the important point you have to remember that whenever we are creating a list of integers or any numerical value, those values will be included as usually by specifying that number or digit. But whenever you are creating the list with some strings, so those strings need to be mentioned within the single quotes or double quotes. And we have the provision to create the list with the mixed data type values also. Here is the example. So mixed list is equal to, it contains 3 values. First value is 1, second value is a string data type hello, third value is a float data type value which is 3.5. Here 3 values are there. All the 3 values are different data type they are representing. So now we can combine all them together into a list by creating like this. And here are the different ways how we can create the list in Python programming. So the first method is using the square brackets. We can create the list. So this is the simplest and most common way to create the list, by using the square braces. See this example here. I'm creating an empty list. So empty list is equal to, so we are going to include the square braces without any elements. So it will create a list without any elements. And see another example, we are creating a list with elements. So numbers is equal to, so within the square braces, I'm going to include the set of numbers which I want to represent in my list. So that is represented here. So numbers is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is another list that is created. And the second method is to which we can use for creating the list is by using the list constructor. So the Python program allows one constructor for creating the list. That constructor is called list. By using this list constructor, I can create a list by using any one of iteratable objects or iteratable values. See, this is the example. So I'm creating a list, empty list, using this particular list constructor. So empty list is equal to list of, I'm not passing any parameters here. So it is going to create an empty list. And see the second example. So I'm creating a list from a string of string. So string is here iteratable object. From by using that I'm creating here a list with a set of characters. So this character list is equal to, for the list constructor, I am providing one of the argument, that is the string here. So this string will be converted into group of characters, and each character will be represented as one element in the your list. And see another example here. I'm creating a list from the tuple. So as usually what you have to do is, we need to pass the tuple as an argument to the list constructor. Now the values that are there in the tuple will be converted to the list, and finally we'll get the output like this. So the list will be created with the values of 1, 2, 3 like this. And coming to another method, I can create a list from a range function. So we have a built-in function called as a range function. By using that, I can create a list of numbers, and that list can be converted into the form of a list object later. See this example here. So I want to create a list with the values from 0 to 9. So here can observe the example. Range list is equal to list of, here in the place of argument, I am going to provide this range of that particular value that are needed here. So I given range of 10. So what will happen is, the list will be created starting from 0 and it is going up to 9 by excluding that maximum value what we represented here. So the output will be created like this with the list of values like 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 9. And other method is there for creating the list. So we can create a list using a list comprehension. So this particular method will generate a list of values based on some existing iteratable values. So for example, if you see here, by using the range function, I'm going to implement this list comprehension approach where I'm going to create a list of values here. See this, I want to create the list of square values from 0 to 9. So squares is equal to, so here the notation we have to follow like this. Within the square braces, we have to represent first in what way you have to create that particular values. Let us x square for x in range of 10. So as we know already, this range of 10 will create the values from 0 to 9. So here this x will take values from 0 to 9. And that particular x value will be converted into, that is a comprehension to x square. So what will happen is, finally for every value that is generated from the range function, it is going to apply the square and that particular value will be provided here. So the final list is 0, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25 like up to 81, it will get that particular values. So this is the another method of creating the list. So now we will discuss about how to apply indexing method or indexing process to access the elements of that particular list. Okay, so what is actually indexing means? It will refers to access individual elements in a list. So if you want to access individual element in a list, so then we need to use this particular index of that particular element. So in Python, the index will start from 0 for first element, and for second element it will be 1, and so on, it will move up to n minus 1. So if your index is list is having n elements, so the index will start from 0 and it will go up to n minus 1. So here whenever we want to access a particular element by specifying the index of that one, so we need to use the square braces. Within that square braces, we need to represent that particular index of that particular value. So another important point is that Python supports both positive index values and negative index values. So positive means will start from 0 and it will go up to n minus 1, which will traverse the elements from left to right. And a negative index means it will start from minus 1, that is the last value index, and it will start from minus n and it will get down by 1 and it will reach us up to minus 1. So here the values are scanned from right to left. And here is an example to understand how we can use indexing to access the individual elements in that particular list. See, for example, consider I created a list with the values of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Now accessing the elements using this positive index means, suppose if I given my list of 0, so it will access the first value, that is 10. And my list of 2 means, so it will access the third element, so that is 30, that will be printed here. And we can, as we discussed previously, we can access the elements by using negative indexes also. So here is the examples to understand how to use that negative indexes. So my list of -1, so which will access the last element in the list. So 50 is the last element, so that will be accessed here. And my list of -3, so now from the last, whatever the third element is there, that will be accessed here, so that is -3. So 50 minus 1, 40 means index is -2, and -3 means the value that will be accessed is 30, and that 30 will be printed here. So next we'll move on to the next operation that we can do on list is slicing. So what this slicing will allows us is, we can access a portion of a list or a sublist from the given complete list of elements. So if you want to access only a portion or a sublist of values from the given list, then I can go to use this particular slicing operation. So this slicing operation is applied by using the square braces notation by providing 3 values in that one, or we can say 3 arguments. What is the starting position, what is the last position, that is nothing but the stop element, and we have another important parameter called as a step parameter, which will specifies in how many counts we need to access that particular values from that particular list. See, the notation we have to use to access the values from the list is like this. It is a start, stop and step. We need to separate these 3 things by means of colon. Let us see this example to understand this. See this, I created the list with the values of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Now I am trying to use this slicing operation here. So my list of 2:5. So it indicates that we need to start from the element 3 and we need to go up to element 6. So element 3 is from, so element 1 is 10, element 2 is 20, element 3 is 30. From here it will go up to, so we given 5 means, so 30, 40, 50. So second element, third element and fourth element will be accessed here. And come to the another notation here, my list of colon comma 4. Here we ignored the starting index. So whenever we ignore the starting index, what will happen is, it will start considering from the first element and it will go up to the last element last index position what we specified there. So that the value that will be accessed is, so 10, 20, 30, 40. And see the another example here, my list of 3 colon. Here in this example, we ignore the that is the stop index value here. So that what will happen is, so it will start from 3, index 3, and it will go up to the last element here. So index 3 means where it will start is, so that is a 40, and the last element it will go up to is 70. So 40, 50, 60, 70 will be displayed here. And see this another example. So my list of 1:6:2. So here 1 represents starting index, 6 represents stopping index, and 2 represents the step count. So whenever we, by default, the step count will be considered as a 1, but here we given 2, right? So that what will happen is, it will access every second element from the index 1 to up to 6. That means up to 5th element it will access that particular element. So what will happen is 20, next second element is 40, Next second element is 60, so that will be displayed here. And see the last example related to this slicing operation. Very important notation it is. So my list of colon minus 1 we given. So here we ignored starting index, stopping index, and finally we given only that step count value. But the step count we given it as minus 1. So now what will happen is we will get the list in the reverse order. So this particular notation we can use if I want to reverse a list of elements in the if I want to reverse a list of elements in reverse order, so then I can go to use this notation. So minus 1 will be included as a last parameter, then the reverse list will be the output for us. So this is regarding how to use this list slicing operation. So next we will move on to different method that we can apply on the list. So the first method, append method. So what is the purpose of this append method is it will add a single element to the end of the list, and what happens is whenever the element is added, the list is modified here. And what is the limitation with respect to this append method is we can add only one element at a time, and that one element will be added at the end of the list. So whatever the data type of the element it is, and whatever the data type of already existing elements, no matter, if you add one element, that will be added at the end of the list. And here is an example to understand this append method. So initially I created a list called as a my list with the values of 1, 2, 3, and I applied append method on this particular list. So my list dot append of 4. So now what will happen is the element 4 will be added at the end of the list. So now the result of after updating the list, after appending the element 4 at the end of the list, the updated list will be like this. It will be 1, 2, 3, 4 here. 4 is added at the end. Similarly, see another example here. My list dot append of 5, 6. Here I added one list to again existing list, so that what will happen is see here how that list of element is added here. So my list becomes now already the values are 1, 2, 3, 4, and this 5, 6 list is added as one single element at the end of that particular list. So this is the purpose of append method which we can apply on list. Next one, extend method. So this extend method extends, or it will continuous by appending the elements from the another iteratable objects. Like the iteratable objects may be like another list or a tuple or string, whatever it is. Once this particular extend method is applied on any list, the original list will be modified as usually. And what is the difference between the previous append method and this particular extend method is, so if you go with the extend method, it will add multiple elements at one point at any single point of time. But whereas if you go with the append method, it will add only one element at any time. But if you go with the extend method, it will add multiple elements at any time. So that is the difference between extend method and append method. And here is the example to understand this. So I created initially the my list with values of 1, 2. Now I am applying this extend method on this particular my list. So my list dot extend of 3, 4. So now you can observe here how that values are added. So already the list is having 1, 2. Now the values from the another list, that is 3, 4, that is extended. Previously, if you go with the append method, this 3, 4 will be added as a single element, but here this 3, 4 is added as separate elements one by one to the existing list, so that final list becomes your 1, 2, 3, 4 here. Similarly, again I am applying extend method with the values of 5, 6. So the resultant list after applying this method is already values are there with 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it becomes 5, 6 here. So this purpose of extend method. So next we go with the insert method. So insert method purpose is if I want to insert any element or any value within the list at a specific position, then I can go to use this particular insert method. So after applying this insert method, again what is the thing is the original list will be modified here. Now this insert method will take two arguments. One is the index position where we have to insert your value, and the second argument is the element that we want to insert in your list. So here this insert method also can insert any data type including another list or any other iteratable objects. And here is the example to understand this insert method. So already insert method is having 1, 2, 3 elements. So now I am adding one more element. So with the values of with the value of 30 at the position 2, now that is added there. So next method is remove method. So remove method purpose is, so if I want to remove a particular element in the given particular list, then I can apply this particular remove method. And what is the important point you have to remember is, suppose the element which you given is having multiple times in the list, then it will remove the first occurrence of that particular value. It will not remove all the occurrences of that value, only the first occurrence of that particular value will be removed. And the original list will be, once the value is removed from the list, the original list is modified here. And here one important point we have to remember that suppose we specified one element, if that element is not there in the list, then it will raise us an error called as value error. That is a meaning that if the element which is not there in the list, if you specify to remove, then it will generate an error. That error is called as value error. So even though multiple occurrences of the same element is there, only thing is it will remove only the first occurrence of that particular element there. And here is the example to understand it. So here my list is having the values of 1, 2, 3, 2, and I given the method to remove the value of 2. So my list dot remove of 2. So now what will happen is, if you observe here, 2 appeared 2 times, but it will remove only the first occurrence that is at the second position, and the final list becomes once again 1, 3, 2 only. So the last element 2 is there, but it will not be deleted. Only the first occurrence that is there in the position 2, only that element will be deleted. This is regarding remove method. So next method is pop method. So pop method means it removes and returns the element at the specified index. If no index is provided, it removes and returns that particular last element. So it is like a remove method only, but the difference is it will remove the element, and that particular whatever the element that was removed, that will be returned, or that will be returned as a return value to the user again. Here if you provide the index means the value which is there at the specific index will be removed. Suppose if you are not provided index to remove the element, then it will remove the element which is at the last position. And here once again, once the value is removed, what will happen is the original list is modified. And again the thing is, if if you are going to specify an element, if you try to remove an element which is not there in the list, it will raise this value error. Similarly, if you specify an index which is not there in that particular list, then it will go to you, it will raise an index error. So we need to be careful while specifying the element as well as the index. So element should be there. Similarly, we need to specify the value index so that the particular method will be executed properly. And see this example here. So my list is equal to, I created with the values of 1, 2, 3, 4, and here I am going to apply this pop method, my list dot pop. Here you have to observe that I have not specified any index here. So what will happen is, as per the discussion, the last element will be removed. The last element is 4. After removing that particular 4, it will just return that value 1, 2, 3 only. And if you specify the index, so then the value which is at that particular index, that will be removed. See here, my list dot pop of 0 I given. That means 0 is the index from where I need to remove that particular element. So 0 index means the first element it will refer, so that from 1 to 3 the first element is 1, so it will be removed. Finally we'll get this particular 2, 3 as a final output here. So this is about the pop method. So next method is clear method. So it is also like a previous one. What it will do is it will remove all the elements from the list and the list will be made empty. Okay, so previously the two methods, by using the two methods we can delete or remove only one element at a time. But here if you want to remove entire list at a time, or if you want to make your list empty at one single step, then I can go to use this particular clear method. So the thing is, once this method is applied, the original list will be modified here, and here it will not return anything after removing all the elements. But just previously, if you go with the pop method, it will returns after deleting a specific element from that particular list. And here it is a example to understand this. My list I created at the values of 1, 2, 3. I'm applying this clear method on this my list. So my list dot clear. So now what will happen is all the values that are there in this particular list, that is 1, 2, 3, will be removed and it will returns an empty list. So next method is index method. So it returns index of the first occurrence of specified value and the list remains unchanged here. So if I want to find out the index of a particular element in the given list of values, okay, then I can go to use this particular index method. Again, the important point is that suppose the value you specified is there in multiple places. So again what it will do is it will returns the first occurrence of that particular value. And the one more thing is, if the element what you specified is not there in that list, so then it will return value error, as we discussed for previous method. And for this index method, we can specify the starting index, stop index, between which range we need to, between which index values we need to search for a particular element can be specified by providing the starting index and end parameter, or the stop index parameter. And here is a syntax to represent that one. List dot index of element for which we need to find out the index. This is the starting index value and ending index value. And here is the example. So my list I created with the values of 1, 2, 3, 2, and here I am applying this index method on this list by providing the value 2 here. See here, my list dot index of 2. So now it will return the index value as a 1. So if you observe here in the list, the value is available at the first location. So the first occurrence position value will be, that index value will be written here. So this is about the index method. So next one is count method. So this count method will returns number of times a particular value appears in the given list. And the thing is, again, the list will not be modified, original list will be retained. So what the thing is, just it will counts how many number of times a specified value is, or a particular element is available in that particular list. So the purpose of this one is we can use it for counting how many times a particular value was appeared in your given list of values. And here is the example to understand it. I created the list with 1, 2, 3, 2, and here I am applying this count method on this list, my list dot count of 2. So it will search for the value 2 in the given list, and in the given list this 2 is appeared for 2 times, so that it will return the value as 2 for the user. This is about the count method. And the next method is important method, that is the sort method. So the purpose of this sort method is, if you want to sort out the elements which are there in the list, either ascending order or descending order, so then I can go to use this particular sort method. By default it will go with the ascending order to sort out your elements, and the thing is the original list will be modified. That means after sorting, the original strings values will be modified here. And if you want to sort out your values in the descending order, so then I can use this additional parameter reverse is equal to true argument or the parameter, so that the original list, the list will be sorted in the descending order. And here is the example to understand it. See, my list I created with the values of 3, 1, 2. So I given my list dot sort, so that values are sorted in ascending order and the values are like 1, 2, 3 here. And if you want to sort in descending order, so my list dot sort, and we need to specify the argument reverse is equal to true. So now what will happen is the values will be sorted in the descending order. So that 3, 2, 1 will be the result of by applying this particular sort method. And the last method is reverse method. So it will reverse the list elements in the list in the place the original list is modified. So if you observe here, previously we have a method to reverse the list of elements, but in that particular case it will not modify the original list. But here we can modify. So if you apply this reverse method, the values in the list will be reversed, and the index of those particular values will be modified here. So if you go with the sort method, just reverse the reverse method, just reverse the order without considering the values it is. It will not sort out the things, just whatever the values we have there, they will be in the reverse order. We go with another thing. So there is a built-in function that are available on the list. So first one, we have a length function is there. So purpose of length function is if you want to find out how many number of elements are there in the list, so then I can go to use this particular length function, and this particular length function will works on any type of value, any type of iteratable object. So iteratable objects like string, tuple, sets, dictionaries, or this list, we can apply this one. And here is the example for that. So I created the list values of 1, 10, 20, 30, 40. If I given length of that particular list, so here in the given list we have 4 values 10, 20, 30, 40, so that it will return the value of 4. So total 4 elements are there, so that it will return the value 4. Next, second function is max function. So if you want to find out the maximum value in the given list of elements, so then I can go to use this particular max function. And what is the important point is that whenever we are applying this particular max function, all the elements should be comparable. That means all the elements should be either integers, or all the elements should be either strings. All the elements whatever we are providing in that particular list, they should belong to of same data type. So if you are trying to compare incompatible type, that means a string with a number or a string with a floating value like that, so then it will result with a type error. And here is an example. So I created a list numbers is equal to 4, 8, 2, 10. Now if I am applying this max function on this particular list, so among the given list of elements, 10 will be the maximum, so that it will return the value of 10. So the next function is minimum function. So it is opposite to the previous function. So if you want to find out the smallest element in the list, so then I am going to use this particular min function. And the same point is remembered here. So whatever the element that we are giving here, they need to be compatible. So either set of integers or set of strings or set of floating values, floating point data type values we need to give there. So one can also use a key argument to change the comparison criteria. So if you want to change the comparison criteria between the elements, we can use this particular key argument. Here is an example to understand it. See here, numbers is equal to given 4, 8, 2, 10, and I am applying min function on this particular number list. So among this list, the minimum value is 2, and that particular 2 is written here. And similarly, I have another list, words is equal to, I given 3 names like banana, apple, here like this. Minimum of, so from this list of strings, I want to find the minimum here. So what is the comparison criteria I am going to use is, I am going to use the length of that particular characters in that. So that key is equal to length I am giving. So it will return that particular string which is having minimum length. So here is the length is 4. So that particular this pair string will be returned as a final result for us. So the next function is sum function. So if you want to find out sum of all the elements in the given list, so then I can go to use this particular sum function. And what is the important point is that, So whatever the elements that are there in the list, they should be numerical values, either integer data type or float data type. Then only we can apply this particular sum function. So if I am trying to apply sum function on any non-numerical values like strings like that, so then it will result with the type error. And here you can specify starting value for the summation. Normally while doing the sum of the values here, by default it will start with 0 as a starting value. Instead of that, if you want to start from any value, user defined value, then I can go to use this particular starting value. And see this, here is the example. I have a list with values of 10, 20, 30. If I am applying sum of numbers, means it will do all sum of all these three numbers, and we are going to get the value of 60. See another example here, sum of numbers comma 10. So here what will happen is, it will take initial value as a 10, and that particular 10 will be added to the list of elements which are there in this particular list. So finally we are going to get the value as a 70 here. So the next function is sorted function. So it will returns new sorted list from the elements of the original list, and the original list is not modified. See, important difference that we have to observe here is, previously we discussed the sort method. So in the sort method, when we apply on a given list, the original list will be modified. But if you go with the sorted function, the original list will not be modified. It will returns the values in the sorted order, and by default the sorted order is ascending order. And if you want to get the values in the descending order, we need to provide additional argument as reverse is equal to true, so that the values we are getting in the descending order. Again, optionally we may include one more parameter, that is a key parameter. So to specify that particular, to do this comparison, to sort out the elements, we can go to use another metric also, like a key is equal to str.lower. Now whenever it is sorting that particular string of values, so it will considers lowercase. Okay, so that is additional thing we can consider here. And this is, as we told at the beginning, it is different from the sort which we already discussed. And here is the example. A list is created with the values of 3, 1, 4, 2. If you apply sorted with the function on this particular list, so it will returns 1, 2, 3, 4 by default ascending order. And if you want to need the values in descending order, we need to add a reverse is equal to true, so that it will returns the values in the descending order 4, 3, 2, 1 like this. So the next function is any function. So it returns true if any element in the given list is true, or if any element in the given list is evaluated true. Otherwise it will return the false. So when we are going to use this kind of function is, if you want to check any condition in the list of any condition on the values that are there in that particular list, so then we are going to use this particular any function. So non-Boolean elements are evaluated based on their truth values. So any non-Boolean values are there, means based on the truth values, either true or false, it will be evaluated. For example, if you have the values like 0, none, or a blank space, they are all considered as a false, and all other values, numerical or whatever the things we have there, they will be considered as a true here. And here is an example to understand it. So let us consider the list with the values of 4, 0, false, 3, none, and I am applying any function on this one. So now 0, false, none, all these three will represent false Boolean value, but whereas if you go with the 3, it represents a true for truth value, so that we given any right, so that in the given list of values, if any value, any element is evaluated true, then it will return true. So 3 is evaluated to true, so that it will return true here as a final result. And similarly, we have another function, all function. So this will return true if all the elements are in the list are true. Previously, if any one element is true, then it will return true. But here the thing is, whatever the elements we have there in that particular list, all need to be evaluated true, then it will return true, otherwise it will return false. So it is useful for checking if all conditions, the list conditions are met. That means if all the values are representing truth value, then we can use then if you apply this particular function, then it will return true, otherwise it will return false here. So it is similar to any function in the whenever it is dealing with any non-boolean values. And here is the example. I have a list with the 1, true, hello. So I am applying this all function on this list 1. So 1, true, hello, all will evaluate it to truth value true. So that finally the result will be true here. And see another example, list 2 with the values of 1, false, hello. Here if you apply all function on the list 2, 1 will be evaluated to true, hello will be evaluated to true. But false is there which is not going to evaluate to true. So that all the values should be true, then only it will return true. But one of the values is evaluated to false, so that it is going to evaluate the false value here. So thank you.